Hi there, I'm Construction Gamer and this is Liverpool on City Skylines. This is going to be episode number 3 in the series, and this episode is just a little bit of a catch up, but we'll be doing some building as well. I just want to show you where we're up to since the last episode. It has been a couple of weeks because I've had some computer issues with my computer, so it's taken a few weeks to fix that, and then it's taken a bit of effort to get all the mods and things back where they should be and get Liverpool back up and running once again. It is always a daunting task when you have to reinstall Windows and try and load a modded map again, but I think everything is working as it should be. I've been playing around with the LUT and the base theme, so I'm actually using the UK Roads project by Mac Welshman, I think. Just going to give that a try because I have been using the realistic European for a while, but I think this is just a little bit better. The concrete looks a bit better, I think, and if I do decide to use the UK road, any of the UK roads in the future, it will just help make that look better. So just notice that little bit of thing there. Just put some asphalt down. In the last episode we did build the Royal Albert Dock area. I've just been slowly but surely adding a little bit of detail here and there. So we've got this hydraulic tower which is now a pub. I've just added some detail here just to make it look a lot better. So as and when I've just been coming back and adding detail, but that's got a bit of a hovering planter there. We'll get rid of that. Don't really want them hovering, and I've been busy with bollards, putting bollards in everywhere. I mean, most of these, or a lot of these, I think I've actually hand placed, possibly, just because I do have the prop line tool, but sometimes just on like a curve like that isn't always ideal. But yeah, it just looks a lot better. I've subscribed to some barges and some boats as well, just to give a little bit of life to the actual dock, and there are boats in here. And then I've done this parking area with I've actually plopped these cars. So subscribed to a load of cars and plopped those in. I was hoping to make this an active car park, but I couldn't quite get. If I load up the parking marker like so, it doesn't bring which direction. So if I plonk it down, I don't know what direction that's going to be in, so I can't use it really. So I've had to manually place the cars. It's not the end of the world. I will need some cars eventually anyway, but yeah, I would have liked that to have been a bit more active. There's a bit of a hotel entrance here which I've tried to recreate, and the rest of it's just a couple of planters here and there, and there's some actual houses inside the Royal Albert Docks. If I just hover over, the actual mill buildings themselves are procedural objects, and then inside there are actually some houses, just so we've got some population and we've got a bit of life around here as well. The difference between light and shade is quite a contrast, just because of the setup with Ultimate Eye Candy. I've got I think it's the correct. No, it's not actually. Presets Liverpool. I always forget you have to. That's even more of a stark contrast. But yeah, I think that's the correct longitude and latitude. And I've just been playing around with the global light intensity as well. But you can see what a huge difference it makes. And I'm using the natural colour LUT currently because I think that's one of the better ones. So yeah, what I've done since the last episode, I will show you that in a bit actually. But before I do that, when I reinstalled Windows, I lost the Mann Island buildings. Well, I didn't lose them, I just didn't back them up. That was silly. So I've just quickly recreated them again. So if we try and put it down somewhere. So basically the Mann Island building is the aquarium, and it is enormous. All I've done is just painted it black, but in order to make it a little bit smaller, all we need to do is just click on that and convert that to a procedural object. It will take a couple of seconds because there are lots of surfaces, and the more surfaces, the longer it takes. Can I find the point there? Can I drag that over here? So if I drag it over here, you can see how enormous it is compared to the standard Mann Island. So what we're going to do is I want to click on that, and then we're going to edit, and we're going to make this a lot smaller, and we're going to copy it as well, because obviously we need 2 of them, because there are 2 buildings. Each of the buildings in real life is slightly, well, not slightly different, a lot different, but I think this is a good enough representation for me to be happy with it. So it does need to be scaled quite a lot though, so we want to bring it right down. It has to, obviously it needs to encompass these buildings like it did before, and then we're going to want to rotate it like that and move to about there. Just take a little, we'll go off procedural objects. Probably needs to just be adjusted a little, maybe possibly scaled a little bit more. Let's have a go. So bring that back up. Procedural objects, click on that, edit. I'm still only learning the ropes with procedural objects. I was sure that somebody said you can actually change the colour of buildings with procedural objects, but for some reason I can't seem to find that function, so that's the move one. Now we want to scale it a little bit like that, I guess. I think it wants to be a bit thinner as well. No, thinner. Yeah, it needs to make sure we get the correct rotation, and then something like that, and then position over those houses. And then if we're going to go down a little bit, I think we do, just so the foundation are sitting in the ground. The ground isn't perfectly level, and we just want to cover those trees up as well. Although we could actually possibly get rid of those trees. I'm not sure why the ground isn't even, but it's not the end of the world. We can figure that out. Now let's just see if we can make this a little bit smaller. It needs to be wider actually, because it's not quite covering those buildings. And then just bring it out a little tiny bit more, and then, oh no, we're doing the position, aren't we? Right, scale, that's the one. So right, position, bring it over a little bit like that, and then we want to scale it just a little bit like that, and then back to the movement. I'm probably not doing the optimal sort of thing for this, but I just want to get it in its exact position. And then I want to go back to back, and then get that, and I'm going to copy. Right, okay, maybe not. Copy, and just see, can I rotate this? Sometimes it is a little bit easier just to move it around with the Move It mod, which you can do with the actual procedural objects integration, which it has. And then we'll just see what that's like. So that needs to come over a little bit like that. Let's just take a look. Yeah, just making sure there's enough space. We want to make sure that's like on a nice right angle to that. The only problem is just trying to find the actual location of where to select the actual object itself. So then we've got something like that. So that's Mann Island replaced. I need to replace the Mersey Travel office as well, but I wasn't completely 100% happy with that building anyway, so I think I will find a new building for that. But at least we've got Mann Island back in place, which really does help set off the waterfront location. So there we are, that's that one in place. And then the next thing I wanted to do, I have been building the Liverpool One Bus Depot in order to build Liverpool One. So Liverpool One is basically a big shopping centre type thing that was built in 2008, or built before 2008, to celebrate the Liverpool City of Culture. It was part of the whole regeneration process around this area. And one of the things they did, they built a huge, well, I wouldn't say it's huge, but a big bus depot. So usual like local buses come here, but also the National Express buses stop here as well. And one thing what I've done is used these, which are pretty cool, which is the Intercity Bus Stop mod, and this allows you to create, instead of putting down the Intercity bus station, which is quite big, I could play around with it a little bit, but you can see the shape is just completely off for this area. So this actually allows you to place down the bus stops. Now, one thing you need to do with this, if you're going to use it, and it is a pretty cool mod, if you put it on the road, even if you go, say, is it Control A, isn't it? If you use Anarchy, you can put it on the road, but it just seems to do some weird things. You can see some bit weird glitching like that. So you don't actually put it on the road. What you do is you put it by the side of the road, so something like that. You can see it's got the arrow there, and then you just go to move it, and then you should move it to the side of the road, and you can see it forms a little bus stop, which is pretty cool actually. So I've got 4 of those in place. So we're actually getting quite a number of tourists coming in and out of the city now using the in-city bus stop. Obviously this is going to be a big tourist area, but one of the things I wanted to do is this. I wanted to put replicate the shelter that is on here. This again, it looks a little bit too big for what I wanted to. Again, this is just a prop that I've downloaded, so this is going to be a procedural object as well, and we're just going to try and click on it. We need to open procedural objects. There we go. That's pretty quick to load. There's not many surfaces or triangles on that, and I just wanted to scale this a little bit more as well to make it look a little bit more fitting. I think this should be probably for a railway station, but I want it to be for my bus station. It needs to be relatively low and just make it look a little bit smaller. And then let's just see if we can move it around and copy it. And obviously it needs to be really square onto the road, so let's just aim that up a little bit, like so. And yeah, my computer's running, even though I've reinstalled Windows, my computer is running really slow. So yeah, if you're using Move It to copy and paste, it'll show the original object size until you place it, and then it will just go back to the procedural object side. I'm not sure if I'm completely using this correctly, but I'm just finding this is the easiest way to mess around with it. So that is a bit lower than that. So actually, are we hovering in the air? Yeah, right. So let's get rid of them. Right, delete, yes, and then procedural object, get that, edit, and I think we're just going to make it a little bit taller. Now that's position, scale, that's better. So we're going to make it a little bit taller, maybe quite a lot taller, and then move it just so we've got a bit of like a foundation, just in case we've got any elevation differences like we had then. So I think something like that, and then we'll come back with the actual Move It mod. Is that clipping into the sign? No, that's fine, just at the right height for that sign. I won't actually want them right back here, and then I just want a few of them like that. Move that into position, and then just come in and just raise it so it's nice and level. It looks hopefully looks all even, something like that. Now I'm trying this a new kind of, well, not a new format, it's Let's Play format almost for this, because I don't think people were really feeling the time lapse, because I think for the past 12 months I have been doing a Let's Play style. I don't think people are really enjoying the time lapse, so I am going to try and incorporate a little bit of a Let's Play style into this, although it is tricky doing the detailing, but hopefully with a little bit of video editing to edit out some of the pauses, it shouldn't be too bad for you, the viewer. And I guess you want to see things like procedural objects. If you haven't used it before, you might want to see how it works, and you might want to see a newbie like me using it, because I haven't really got to grips with it quite yet. Still very much learning. These are only some of the basic features of it that I'm actually playing with. You can do all sorts of different things with procedural objects, but is that, I don't think we, oh yeah, is that enough? Just want to make sure it's not hovering above the ground. Now something like that doesn't look too bad. Am I pressing the right button? Maybe if we mark here, that's a bit better, and then just put these over here, and then just replicate it on each of the bus stops, trying to make sure that it's all nice and lined up with the curb, like so. Yeah, it's gonna have to come back and move that anyway. But it's a bit of a quicker method. This one wants to move ever so slightly like that, and then if we marquee them all again, bring them up and just move them ever so slightly, and this whole area is going to have to be sort of going to have to come in with decals. You can see I've been doing a little bit with decals just to make this area look a lot better, but I think that's one of the things I think we did in the last episode, which was a whole episode of decals. So I thought I'd do something else. I thought I'd have a little play around with procedural objects just to make this little bus shelter area so it all replicates as closely as possible the Liverpool One Bus Stop thing. That needs to come down. Is that alright? That looks fine. What about this one? That one's fine. Maybe these have gone a bit funny, so I think I'll bring we are on. Don't know what that was. It was loud enough. That's going up too far. I think that will have to do. I'm sure there's I don't know what the controls is. Let's see. Options. Controls. Are we looking for move it? Is there a move it thing? Toggle, undo, clone, reset. There are some new fine controls, I think, but I can't move. What are these? Rotate, scale, undo, redo, bulldoze. I was pretty sure there's some new fine tools to use, but I can't convert. No, don't know. Can't see it, unfortunately, because that just won't go. Actually, I could. That's what I could do. This is where Procedural Objects is handy, because it's a bit. You do have some finer controls over the height. That's better, isn't it? Something like that. That's better. And then this. I just want to come in. Actually, is that hovering? No, it's not. Need to come in with some decals. Actually, off camera, I did build this, which is the police station. This is offices. Yeah, these are actual active offices, as you can see, because they haven't got any workers. But inside those, you can see a police car coming out of it, because I've put some police cars inside the actual offices as well, so it does work as a police station. And I've been using the car park mod, which is here. So the parking lot mod, just to create this car park, which all works nicely, and I've got some police cars and things, so it is an actual active police station, as well as looking similar to what it does in real life. So there is a lot of work to do still, but I think we're getting there. I think in the next episode I will try to do Liverpool One. It's going to be tricky, I know it is, because it is a very unusual, it's like an open air mall almost, if you like, with I think it's on 3 layers. You've got the shopping, 2 layers of shopping, 2 different floors of shopping, if you like, in an open air style, and then on the roof of it you've got bars and restaurants and things. So it's going to be tricky, but I'm going to try and recreate that. I've already made a start here. We've got the hotel and some of the new housing that was built, but it's going to be a slow process, but I do want it to be as detailed as I can do it. So there we are. We've done a little bit of procedural objects in this episode, and I will probably finish the decals off camera. We do have the in-city buses. I have used the advanced road vehicle options, which got updated pretty quickly with the in-city buses, but I'm just hoping that someone actually releases. There is a National Express bus which just acts as a standard bus, and it'd be cool if that could be converted into an in-city bus, because that really would just set the area off. But for now I've just painted them in white for National Express, and I think I've done like a dark blue for Megabus as well, just so it fits in, because they don't actually look too bad really. They are not too bad looking buses. So yeah, there we are anyway. There's the bit of the bus stop done, and we've done some of the Mann Island with procedural objects. So I'm going to leave it there for today. I'm going to say until next time, bye bye.